Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why it's so hard for your average person to succeed. And you're going to hear me talk about this a lot. And this is just from more than 10 plus years of experience and realizing that, there's a lot of deception and illusions in the society that we live in. It's kind of like peeling an onion, right? You peel one part, it's going to make you cry, and then you kind of keep peel the rest, and it just makes you cry even further because there's so much deception on how people operate on a day-to-day basis, right? And I truly believe if people took the easy path of being honest, supporting their friends and family, supporting their community, supporting their neighbors, we'd all be rich by yesterday. You know what I'm saying? But for whatever reason, and this is why I kind of see like wealth as a spiritual battle, most people embrace that life is some sort that they have to be live in a mode of deception, right? Like I say this in other videos that how most people would rather steal $1 from you than make $1 million with you, right? And I'm at a point in my life right now where it's like if people don't try to steal $1 from me, rather than make a million, I'm like actually impressed because yo, you actually stand out because almost every other single person that I talk to is trying to rip me off, but you didn't, and you actually did what you say you're gonna do. That's why I say like I have really low standards, right? Like I have really low standards. If you can just do basic things and be reliable and do what you say you're gonna do, oh my goodness, like you're worth $1 million because most people can't even do that. And again, there are layers of deception in our society. And one of the biggest deceptions that you will face is that you'll notice, and again, you don't notice this immediately, but people will always try to knock you down so that you know your place, right? And one of the excuses that they use, and this seems like a very legitimate and valid excuse, is that they have to treat you bad because you're not good enough. You don't get good grades, or you didn't go to college, or you didn't get that promotion or whatever, right? Certification. It's always an excuse, or you don't make enough money, so therefore we have to talk bad about you. And one of the reasons why I say we live in a society of deception is because once you actually try to do the things that people didn't believe that they thought you could do, right? And the reason why they make certain complaints, like, oh, so let's say you're a C student, I'm going to treat you bad because you don't get straight A's, is because they actually don't think you can get straight A's. And so once you actually reach that goal, then they're blindsided, right? And they don't know what to do. And so they have to move on to the next deception of why they're going to treat you bad, right? And so it's a crazy world that we live in, and you're going to get to a point if you work on yourself enough and work on your personal and self development that people like you're going to be so good that people will try to convince you that you suck. Like, and it's going to be so blatantly obvious that they're delusional or they're gaslighting that you're like, what the like? I'm actually good at this. You know, what? Why are you trying to convince me that I really suck at it? And that's because like I said before, we live in a society of deception, and once you become at a point where you do become wealthy, you have to realize that most people are lost, right? And so one of the books that I read, and I actually don't like too much of this book, that I think it kind of helps you understand the society that we live in, is The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And this is why I say, if you're going to work hard for yourself, don't ever expect anybody else to recognize your hard work. No one's going to admire you. No one's going to congratulate you because, as I said before, as an adult, you get punished for failure, but you don't get congratulated for success, right? And that's a general. I'm never like, oh, 100% of the times like this. That's not like that at all. But one of the thoughts that I always had is just the concept of teachers and how like, man, I really want to make my teacher proud of me. And then like rule number one, never outshine the master. And a lot of people have suffered because they did way too well, but they weren't in the right place in the right hierarchy, right? And I think as a kid, I was like, why are my teachers so nuts? Like they're telling me I gotta do well on tests and homework, and my parents are saying that, and then oh wait, I'm actually really good at this, and now like they're trying to peg me down, and it's like people don't even know what they want. Like if it were me, like I would just tell the kids, hey, like if I were their teacher, like hey, just be dumb so I can feel special about myself. But most people, I think they're like double-sided or two-faced, and they don't want to admit that, I guess they want to look good, right? But they don't want to admit that they have, nefarious intentions, right? But here's the thing. If I'm your teacher, I actually want you to outshine me because I'm a really lazy person, right? Like if you could do something better than me, I'll be like, dude, that's awesome. Teach me how to do it or do it for me, right? Like that's the way I am. Number two, right? This is the sad part, okay? So number two, never put too much trust in friends and learn how to use enemies. I think this was a heartbreaker too because who are the people that I wanted to impress the most? My teachers, my friends. I think it's just natural to be able to show off and say, "Hey, you're really awesome at what," or you're really awesome what it is that you do, and they are um, the people that you thought wanted the best for you are the ones who are going to try to take you down. It's kind of sad, right? I've experienced many disappointments in my life, and I experienced the same disappointment over and over again, and realize, oh, okay, you see a pattern. But one of the biggest patterns is that there's this I'll call it an invisible societal force that wants to keep everybody pretty mediocre, right? Because here's the thing: when you're too good, people will come out of the woodwork convincing you that you suck. And I'll just give you an example of how you know that you're too good. I mean, think about your own self. Like, let's say like you see a homeless person, right? I If I see a homeless person, I would just say, "Hey, that's a societal problem." I wouldn't attack that person, right? Like I wouldn't like say, "Hey, you suck." But when people are lower than us, we don't have a desire to like attack them necessarily, or feel like, "Hey, we got to put them down," because if they're down, like what am I going to do? Like what do I get out of that, right? But when we feel threatened by others, that's when the feelings of insecurity and jealousy come up, and that's when people try to attack you, right? Like, and I've had this happen to me so many times. Yet, in the end, like this is why you have to have a strong enough frame to be able to handle their attacks. Because if you had a teacher who you thought believed in you, and then you did too well, and then your teacher is just criticizing you because you did too well, you're going to be heartbroken and not have the ability to wake up the next morning, right? This is why there are so many videos on the internet of young people saying that they have no hope, and they're screwed and blah 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 blah, because they're in a position where they're going to lose no matter what, right? If they've essentially been in a position where if they do too well, then the people around there are going to tell them that, bring them down, and maybe they've already accepted the social conditioning. Oh, I'm not good enough. Like I can't get straight A's, or I can't make enough money, because if there was something, if I was already good, then people wouldn't criticize me, right? Like I think that's what a lot of people think, and I think if you're naive and brought into this world and you're not aware of the deceptions that people will foist onto you, then you're going to have a hard time, and which is why um, being wealthy is essentially a spiritual battle, because you have to essentially um, defend yourself against forces that are trying to always attack you, that you may not necessarily see with your own two eyes. Okay. All right. Well, this is a Korean Atlanta mentorship, so hopefully all of my babble makes sense. If not, it's okay, but I think a lot of people like to hear me rant on about whatever. Okay, but if you're interested in joining our group where we learn about financial literacy and real estate investing and education, click the Google form link below. Other than that, have a great day, and we will speak next time.